Chaos Linked Book 1 Deep Breaths Chapter 8 Down. Sonic takes a slow step forward, the pain that has gripped him for days beginning to fade. First he barely notices it, the dull ache easing with every step, until suddenly it's gone the moment he stands in front of Shadow. It melts away entirely, like mist burning off under the sun. He exhales, his breath no longer ragged, his limbs no longer weak. His senses are sharper, clearer than they've been in what feels like forever. For the first time in days he feels whole. It feels like standing in the sun after being trapped in an endless rain. Excitement buzzes through his veins as he takes another step forward. His heart tells him the truth before his mind fully catches up. That Shadow isn't just some flickering image or a fading memory. He's real. Sonic feels him. Not just as an echo, not just as some distant presence he can never reach. Shadow remains still, his eyes locked onto Sonic's as he lifts a hand slowly, unsure that this is even real. Sonic mirrors the motion, his fingers trembling. As he does, an image of Maria encouraging him to take her hand flashes quickly in his mind. The moment their palms press together, a rush of sensation floods through him. Immense relief and warmth, confirming that they aren't imagining this, that the dreamy world around them is real just as much as they are. Sonic's eyes widen as the realization hits him.
Shadow?
His voice catches, an overwhelming wave of joy crashing through him. His heart nearly leaps out of his chest, relief so sharp it almost hurts. But it's a good kind of hurt, not like any of the pain he's been feeling.
You're alive!
After everything, after staying behind to sacrifice himself and stop the Eclipse cannon, he's still alive. Alive, alive, alive. Sonic can hardly believe it. He wants to hug him, but he's pretty sure that holding his hand is more than enough. Even though Shadow isn't exactly with him, everything inside him confirms that the hedgehog he believed to be dead really isn't. Shadow's gaze lowers slightly, his breath unsteady.
I don't know for how much longer.
Sonic's excitement turns into concern. Beneath the relief and warmth he feels something else. A deep, suffocating exhaustion. A pain that isn't his own. Sonic tightens his grip on Shadow's hand, refusing to let go.
No, don't say that! You're here! I can feel you! This isn't just a dream, is it?
Shadow breathes out, shaking his head.
No, but I don't understand what this is. It's like we're connected somehow. I can feel you just as clearly as you can feel me.
Sonic tilts his head. How is that even possible? Shadow's hand tightens around his in return. Sonic feels a flicker of mild surprise, but at the same time it isn't that surprising. Shadow had taken his hand before, back on the moon, when they'd shared power to stop the Eclipse cannon.
After the Eclipse cannon, I fell to Earth. I burned through everything I had left after taking off my inhibitor rings. I barely had enough energy to teleport somewhere safe. I don't even know where I am anymore. Just a cave, somewhere. But my strength is gone.
Sonic's mind races, desperate for something, anything, that might give him a clearer picture of where Shadow is apart from Cave. He strains, focusing on their connection, trying to reach deeper, to see through Shadow's eyes. But all he gets is static, a haze of exhaustion clouding everything. Shadow's mind is too drained, too fragmented to offer anything solid. The realization sends a fresh jolt of anxiety through Sonic. Shadow isn't just tired. He's barely holding on.
You were barely holding on when they brought you here.
Kyle's voice echoes. He can feel Shadow's pain pressing against him, an aching weight that lingers in his bones. But more than anything, he feels Shadow's exhaustion, heavy and all-consuming, dragging him down like an anchor in the suffocating depths. The sheer effort it takes for Shadow to even remain standing in this so-called dream is staggering. How long has he been stuck in that cave, barely hanging on?
You were in bad shape when you got here. Your body's stress levels were off the charts. We had to contain the situation before things got worse.
Days? Weeks? The thought unsettles Sonic. Has Shadow been suffering like this all along, with no way to reach out until now? No way to call for help?
Shadow, you have to hold on!
He says firmly, focusing on the connection between them. Desperation claws at his chest as he pushes, trying to send something, anything through their link. Energy, warmth, strength. He doesn't know how this works, doesn't know if he even can transfer his energy like that. But if they share pain, if they can feel each other's suffering, then maybe, just maybe, he can give Shadow something back. Shadow's eyes close briefly, exhaustion flickering across his face like a dying ember. His shoulders sag just slightly, his body wavering as if even staying upright is becoming too much.
I don't know if I can.
You have to. I won't lose you again.
He looks drained, his body wavering like he might collapse at any second. Sonic's grip tightens instinctively, his fingers pressing firmly against Shadow's, as if anchoring him in place. And then just for a moment, Shadow seems to ease. The tension in his shoulders lessens, the heavy weight dragging him down momentarily lightened. That's when it clicks. When they're together, their pain eases. Their connection stabilizes them. Being apart is what's making it worse. The realization forms into words before he can even stop it.
Shadow, it's us. When we're together, it stops hurting. Our energy balances out, stabilizes. That's why I feel fine now, and why you don't seem as bad when we're near each other. Being apart, that's what's making everything worse.
Shadow exhales slowly, processing Sonic's words. His eyes flicker with something unreadable, but then his shoulders relax ever so slightly.
Would explain why I haven't completely collapsed yet. It's like your energy is keeping me from falling apart entirely. But it's not enough.
He glances at their joined hands before meeting Sonic's gaze again. Something unspoken lingers between them, something neither of them can quite explain. They are connected, their very existence intertwined in a way that defies all reason. But more than that, the fact that Shadow is still out there, weak, suffering, and possibly running out of time, it makes his fear feel insignificant.
Where are you?
Shadow whispers, realizing that he has no idea where Sonic currently is in the physical realm. Shadow closes his eyes, concentrating the best that he can. The feeling of being underwater suddenly returns. Sonic stiffens slightly, not sure how to tell him.
Shadow, wait!
But he doesn't even have to tell him. Shadow is already grabbing onto that familiar feeling of being underwater. And then, a sudden jarring wave of awareness floods through him. Not his own but Sonic's. The image sears itself into his mind, a dimly lit stasis pod, monitors glowing with sterile light, the low hum of machinery pulsing in the background. A pod filled with swirling blue liquid, a small figure floating inside. The pieces click into place, a dreadful clarity sinking into his chest like lead. Sonic's energy is being suppressed, controlled, siphoned. Sonic is in a stasis pod, being held by Gun. The horror of it all tightens in Shadow's gut, a slow-burning fury rising in its wake. Sonic trapped. Sonic being tested. The very thing he had endured, the thing that had defined 50 years of his existence, is now happening to someone who doesn't deserve any of it. Something he doesn't want anyone else to experience, not even his worst enemy.
You're in a stasis pod. They're keeping you under.
He murmurs, his voice dangerously low as he keeps his eyes closed. This is why he still felt like he was trapped.
My old stasis pod.
Shadow realizes, the very same one that he'd broken out of when the system was hacked. The weight of those words sinks into Sonic's chest, and suddenly, a chilling realization dawns on him. He remembers the energy test, the unbearable pressure in his chest, the way his whole body had felt like it was being torn apart. And now, standing here, he feels the lingering echoes of that same pain thrumming beneath Shadow's skin. The energy test. It hadn't just hurt. It had been agony, like something was being torn from him, something deeper than he had been able to understand at the time. His fingers twitch against Shadow's palm as the truth clicks into place, chilling him to the core. His stomach twists.
Shadow, you felt it, didn't you? When Gun tested my energy, you were feeling it too.
Shadow opens his eyes, but he turns his head slightly away.
I thought the pain was from taking off my inhibitor rings to move the cannon, and then falling to Earth.
Maybe a lot of it is, but he had suffered through that same experiment too.
That's why the test hurt so bad.
Sonic breathes, feeling faint at the idea that Shadow had felt everything he did during the test, alone in a cave. Why he had felt pain when Kyle said he wouldn't.
Shadow, it felt like a piece of me was being ripped away. Because it was you.
Shadow blinks, his gaze sharpening. The same pain, the same violation, the same unbearable pressure, like something was being ripped away. They had both been trapped in that moment, both experiencing the same torment, and somehow neither of them had known. The realization makes his stomach churn. How had he not seen it? How had he not felt it?
Oh man, I'm so sorry. I didn't know.
Shadow feels the guilt coiling in Sonic's chest, cold and sharp. How had he not realized sooner? If they're connected, if they've been this intertwined all along, why hadn't he felt Shadow before? Why hadn't he felt that he was alive? Or maybe he had, but he just hadn't realized it was Shadow yet. It might not have been either of their faults being in that situation, but he could have let Shadow know that he wasn't alone, at least. Shadow breathes. It feels easier to breathe here in this minimal space with Sonic.
Neither did I. But that means whatever's happening to us is not just in our heads. We're connected. Sonic, somehow.
Sonic hesitates for a moment, his thoughts racing.
Could it have been the Chaos Emeralds?
He wonders aloud, trying to understand how something like this can even be possible, and the emeralds are the only thing he can think of.
When we shared the power, when we really shared it on the moon, what if that did something to us? Where are the emeralds now?
Shadow's eyes narrow slightly, his brow furrowing in thought.
If that power intertwined with ours at the moment we used it, maybe it left something behind. A connection we didn't even realize was forming until now. I'm not sure where the emeralds are.
Then, like a bolt of lightning splitting through the haze, another realization strikes Sonic with an almost physical force. Sonic feels the weight of that realization pressing down on his chest.
You're a part of me now, and I'm a part of you.
Shadow shakes his head slightly, as if trying to process the impossible truth. He shares some kind of link with this insufferable hedgehog now?
Then that means you felt it too, didn't you? Everything I've been through. My exhaustion. My pain.
Yeah, I think I have.
Sonic whispers, thinking back to when it all started with a persistent sharp pain in his side. All that pain he'd been feeling had really been Shadow's pain. That's why Maddie and Gunn hadn't been able to find anything, why nothing had shown up on the X-ray, and struggling to breathe. It all makes sense now.
Wait, if we can feel each other's pain, does that mean we can read each other's minds too? Don't tell me what you're thinking.
Shadow isn't sure what to make of that idea. His emotions are private enough, but to also have to share his thoughts with this hedgehog? Sonic concentrates, trying to reach deeper, to grasp onto something more than just emotions, words, thoughts, anything tangible. He focuses on Shadow, trying to see through his mind the way he feels his presence. But there's nothing. Just the same exhaustion, the same ever-present ache. Shadow remains silent, unreadable, offering no confirmation, no denial. Sonic is a little disappointed, to be honest.
No, it's not like that. It's not thoughts or words. It's our feelings, our energy. We can sense each other, but we can't dig into each other's heads.
He murmurs, realization dawning on him. Something they still don't fully understand.
The last thing you ate was ice cream.
Shadow takes note out loud, feeling the cold sensation. He'd shared many ice creams with Maria, when she had managed to sneak him some behind the guards' backs.
Cool, literally.
Sonic says, impressed. But then it makes him wonder when Shadow might have eaten last. Probably not for a long time. How long can he go without food? Shadow shakes his head. They have bigger problems to worry about than trying to read each other's minds or feeling what the other feels. He doesn't exactly want to share all of that. It might be too much for Sonic to handle. Like when he'd passed out trying to stop the cannon that was powered by his chaos energy.
Shadow, listen to me.
Sonic says quickly, his voice firm despite the unease coiling in his gut.
I'm okay. I mean, yeah, it's not great, but I'm handling it. I know it looks bad, but apart from the testing, the pond probably is helping me.
Sonic sucks in a breath. Is that why his family had brought him to Gunn? Because they thought it would help? If they hadn't, would he be here with Shadow right now? Shadow watches him carefully. If Sonic had gone after him like that after he hurt the one called Tom, then his humans can't be all bad. But he can feel Sonic's doubt and anger that they supposedly left him behind. Maybe this hedgehog isn't as insufferable as he once thought. Sonic had given him a chance, even after he'd hurt his family. Sonic had helped him see past his rage. Maybe being connected to him isn't such a bad thing. Now he has to help Sonic see past his rage at his family.
They thought they were helping you.
He says, a rare softness threading through his words. Sonic looks at him, his eyes sparkling. Mentally reaching into him, Shadow urges him not to cry, to focus more on what he knows is the truth deep down.
They thought they were doing what was best.
His expression hardens slightly.
They know what Gun is capable of, that they were willing to do whatever it took to help you get better again.
Yeah, I know that now.
Sonic says, his anger towards his family dissipating. How could he have ever doubted them?
Dad is going to be so happy you're still alive too.
Tom? He's still alive, and not upset even after what he'd done? After he had attacked the human so ruthlessly to get the key to the Eclipse cannon? He had thought that Tom was Commander Walters, but still. Then Shadow speaks again, and Sonic's veins run cold.
Sonic, you being in that stasis pod is probably what's kept me going this long. Because of our connection to each other, your energy is stabilizing me for now. It's keeping me from completely falling apart. But it's not enough to fully heal me.
Wait, what are you saying?
Sonic's mind scrambles to make sense of the words, but dread coils tightly in his stomach, telling him he already knows the answer. He grips Shadow's hand harder, as if that small action alone will keep the worst from coming true. Shadow hesitates, then says what Sonic dreads most.
If I want to heal completely, I need a stasis pod myself. Your energy alone isn't enough to keep me going.
Sonic feels like the air has been sucked out of his lungs.
No way. But that means...
Shadow nods grimly.
That means going back to Gun.
Sonic shakes his head rapidly, his heartbeat pounding in his ears.
No, I'll find another way. There has to be another way. You're not going back there, Shadow. I won't let them.
Sonic, you know I'm right. I won't last much longer like this. And what about you? If I get worse, what happens to you?
It's unspoken between them, but they both have the same question. If one of them dies, what happens to the other? Sonic stares at him, hardly believing his ears. Shadow is willing to go back to Gun? For him.
I don't care about what happens to me.
He whispers, but he knows that isn't true. He still has his family, and now he has someone else that he has to live for too. Their connection goes both ways. If he gives up, Shadow will suffer the consequences. Likewise, if Shadow gives up, he can't think like that. They can't think like that.
They'll put you back to sleep for 50 years, or worse. They'll never let you go again.
The thought of that happening to Shadow again is too much for Sonic to bear. Shadow's expression hardens, his crimson eyes narrowing with quiet resolve.
I won't let that happen. Not again. Not to me, and not to you.
Sonic's mind races, the implications of their connection and Shadow's deteriorating condition crashing over him. He can't let Shadow return to Gun. He can't let them imprison him again. But without a stasis pod, Shadow's chances of survival are slim. The only reason he's still alive is because of their connection, and the fact that he's in a stasis pod. Sonic knows it. He feels Shadow's energy fading by the minute. But he's still a little confused. Will he continue to need a stasis pod himself if Shadow heals inside one? Or will his pain finally ease once Shadow is healed, and they both will no longer need a pod? Does Gun have more than one pod? Somehow Sonic wouldn't be surprised.
We're trading you here, keeping your body in a controlled environment. The stasis pod is regulating your vitals, keeping your temperature stable, ensuring your systems don't spiral again. If we take you out too soon before we figure out a solution or a cure, there's no telling what might happen.
He and Shadow have figured out the solution first. Or have they? As these thoughts swirl, another, more insidious worry takes root that would have made Sonic fall over if he hadn't been holding on to Shadow.
Sonic, I need to ask you something.
What if Gun already knows about their connection? The thought claws at Sonic's chest, a slow creeping dread tightening around his ribs. What if Kyle's tests weren't just about measuring energy, but about understanding the link between them? The way Kyle had watched him, the way he had waited while Sonic suffered, it hadn't been random. It had been calculated, observing, testing, trying to see just how deep this connection runs. What if he wasn't just studying it? What if he was trying to draw Shadow's power out of him? Or what if he had been hoping to get a reaction out of Shadow big enough so he could try to pinpoint his location? What if that was the real purpose behind those energy tests? The pressure, the pain, the unbearable sensation of something being ripped away was Kyle forcing Shadow's energy out of him without either of them realizing it? The idea sends a chill down Sonic's spine. His fingers tighten around Shadow's hand as he finally voices the fear gnawing at him.
Shadow, what if Kyle already knows? What if he's been trying to figure out how to use our connection?
Sonic doesn't say it out loud, but Shadow feels another concern emanating from him that makes him uneasy. What if they try to break it? What happens if it's broken? Can it be broken? Is it permanent? Would finding the emeralds and bringing them back together as the Master Emerald fix this? Shadow's expression darkens, his grip tightening on Sonic's hand slightly. An image from Sonic flashes in his mind, one that isn't his own. A man with glasses watching, calculating, his presence lingering like a ghost in the background of Sonic's thoughts. The vision unsettles him, but it means something. Recognition stirs in the back of Shadow's mind, a memory buried deep beneath years of forced slumber. That man. Shadow's breath stills as the realization sinks in. He knows Kyle from the stasis pod, from the cold, lifeless void that had held him prisoner for 50 years. Kyle had been there, monitoring, watching over the process as he remained trapped, frozen in time. And then when Shadow finally broke free, Kyle had still been there somewhere in the chaos, watching from the sidelines. Shadow had barely paid him any attention in the moment, too focused on fighting off the guards, too consumed by escaping. But now the memory is clearer. Kyle was there. Maybe not from the very beginning when Commander Walters had put him under, but he'd come in at some point. A new fury ignites within him, simmering beneath the overwhelming exhaustion.
Then we don't let him.
His voice is sharp, edged with determination, but Sonic can still hear the exhaustion beneath it. The sheer weight of everything they've been through presses down on them both, but Shadow refuses to waver. Sonic wants to believe they can stop this before it gets worse, before Kyle or Gunn can take control of their fate. But doubt gnaws at the edges of his mind, and the fear that they're already too late makes his chest feel tight.
We stay ahead of him. We don't let them control this. We figure it out on our own terms, before they get the chance to make any more decisions for us.
Sonic nods quickly, but a new worry creeps in. When he wakes up, if Gunn lets him wake up again after his little outburst, he'll have to pretend like he still doesn't know anything about his and Shadow's connection. Can he really pull that off? He's going to have to. Both of their lives depend on it.
We need to get to each other.
Sonic says. Their pain disappears when they're together. He's pretty sure that's how this works. But he's with Gunn, and Shadow is stuck in a cave alone somewhere far away. He can feel Shadow's frustration and how tired he is seconds before it flashes across his face.
I'm still too weak to teleport. Gunn has a way to disable our powers. They might have already done it to you.
I sorta kinda might have broken it.
You broke the suppression field?
Shadow asks, surprised. At the original Gunn base with Maria, he'd never been able to even dream of doing such a thing. Even back then, Gunn had made sure that he'd never be able to use his powers to escape. Shadow gets a flash of how Sonic might have done it, intense anger filtering through him. He'd been upset about his apparent death, so upset that he'd broken the field. He had truly been that upset over his death? Sonic rushes to find another solution.
Maybe my family will figure something out. Mom and Dad and Tails and Knuckles. They'll find a way to help us. They have to.
Tails might be a genius, but will he be able to figure out that he and Shadow are connected? Desperation grips Sonic as he tightens his hold on Shadow's hand, refusing to let the connection slip away so easily. But the dream starts to fade around them. The warmth he had felt just moments ago begins to wane, the presence of Shadow pulling away. But Sonic can sense that Shadow doesn't want to, and neither does he. His ears perk up as a faint, familiar voice travels throughout the last of the fading dream, or whatever this place had been.
Come on, Sonic! Stay with us!
Tails? Tails is with him now? Maybe he and Shadow won't have to wait as long as he thought. But his family still needs to figure it out. And Tails sounds worried. A lot must have happened since he'd almost broken out of the pod.
We can do this. We'll find you. I promise.
Sonic sounds more sure than ever before, but his voice sounds far away now, and his hand isn't holding on to anything anymore. Shadow's eyes open slowly. He looks up, finding the dark ceiling of the cave staring back at him again as he lays on the hard stone. If he didn't feel marginally better than he has in who knows how long, he would have believed that everything that just happened had only been a cruel dream, something made up by his desperate mind. His body feels like lead, his limbs heavy, but something is different. The crushing weight in his chest has lessened, the suffocating exhaustion that had threatened to pull him under now just a dull ache. His breath, though still shallow, moves through his lungs with less strain. He flexes his fingers against the cold stone beneath him, testing his strength. He imagines the gun facility in the room where he was once held inside the pod, but he remains where he is. He has to get Sonic out of there, but his powers still aren't working. The pain is still there, but it's not as overwhelming as before. Something changed. Something helped. Feels a little easier to breathe.